Today, we're building Lego terrain. We're going to shoot our connection from our beach into our forest, and we're going to use Duplo as a cost-effective method to lift the terrain and sink the terrain, as well as some sneaky vines with those leaf pieces and producing a beautiful forest floor. All of this with some sneaky little surprises hidden in there. Let's go. Last time we did the beach and our choppy waves, but Harumi Bay has a lush forest floor that's not yet inhabited other than by small creatures perhaps. However, we need to start building that forest floor so we can begin getting things ready for our settlers. Let's start.
Now this isn't because we've run out of plates, but what we want to do is we want to be cost effective here. So we're going to use some of our sort of areas here to help heighten or lower our terrain and give it that variation. Because what we imagine is that this beach comes back and it goes into a forest-like area. Now today we won't be doing the trees of that forest, that will come later on in a separate build. But we want to certainly start laying the forest floor. So Duplo bricks are fully compatible with the Lego system brick, and they're a great way to create height without spending a fortune, because look how much space one of these little bricks takes up. It takes up an awful lot, helping you save money on things like plates and bricks. And let's face it, Lego's not cheap. So what do? Well, we want to make sure that any area we use Duplo does have some sort of layering on it, because the clutch power of a Duplo brick is not fantastic. So it's nowhere near as good as a standard system brick. So what we want to do is we want to use our Duplo and then cover it with a layer of standard brick, and you won't be able to use plate on this because of the size of the stud. The other thing is you got to make sure that you always layer it in a way that allows a brick to sit on top. And the bricks you're going to use really are 2x4 or 2x2. I recommend the 2x4, just gives it that little bit of extra clutch power. So over in this area here, I think this is going to be a little bit of raised terrain. Now in order to get this build area, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my Duplo. I'm just going to put some bricks down on top of it. And I'm going to try and cross over the Duplo blocks so that it gives it that extra strength on there. So this area here, we're going to leave open. And the reason is, I reckon that this is going to have to be some sort of fresh water source, which we'll have to deal with in a later video. Over in this area here, we're going to add some variation in our terrain. Now you'll notice that I've tried to keep it structurally as strong as possible on the mills plate, and that's one of the benefits of using these smaller 8x16 plates. It just gives us a little cutout here that we can then mold into some more natural looking shapes more easily. There we go. Now notice I've not gone up too steeply, and the reason is that, like I said, Duplo adds a lot of height and you're going to have to plate over it, and we are going to have to put buildings on top of this, so I don't want to take it up too high. But if you were creating a natural mountain terrain, you could just stack this Duplo up.
Remember, everything that we built today can fit inside a large pick-a-brick box. You don't need to spend a lot to make your creativity come to life. Repurpose your old sets, look for your spare pieces, go through your collection. You'll find pieces that suit.
Now the next thing we want to do is we want to start trying to give this some work in so that it can gradient onto that height. I'm going to use this very, very vibrant green because I think that up in this area it would have been very, very lush and colourful. Notice I'm putting in irregular patterns, and the reason I'm putting in irregular patterns is because I want some of that olive plate to be able to click in there. Okay, so now that we've done that, what we want to do is we now want to start fading our beach back in there a little bit. It's important, do not cross the mills line. If you notice at the minute, this is still completely modular, so we don't want to do something like this. We need to make sure we stay on our side of the plate. We all know those sort of beach areas where it fades in towards the forest. You know, we can picture them. Now, if you notice when you look at the beach, a lot of the times there's a darkness that gradients from the beach into the soil. So when you have forest, I can imagine that we see sort of a darkening of this, heading into a much more darkening, and then into maybe lush green. And the strange thing is, there's normally quite light grass around these areas. So we want to try and replicate that. So to do that, this is 1x6 dark tile. I'm just going to start placing them as we go along. And because this area is a little bit higher, I'm likely going to instead put some rock work over here. So we'll deal with that in a moment. I'm then going to transition into another darker color. You see that what I'm trying to do is just create a sort of jagged edge, much like we did with our beach. We're almost mirroring it. And remember, guys, the beauty, don't worry about getting it wrong. The beauty of things with Lego is that you can always just undo it. So I'm just using these olive wedges that I found. You can use any color at all, but I like the look of these olive wedges. Let's just put them down. They naturally have an angle on there that your eye catches, and I'm just going to put them down in completely random fashion. Notice I'm leaving gaps in here because I don't need to completely cake the thing. There has to be a reason for landing on this island or on this land. Maybe there's a myth about it. I reckon that this water is supposed to prolong minifigure life, restore sun damage.
Somewhere in the world, our minifigs are beginning to load up the cargo for their ship. One ship has been loaned from a friendly pirate in a foreign land, one that possessed amazing abilities. Any idea who it could be?
What we're going to have to do is start layering on top, because as you can see, you can still see bits of the plate underneath the base plate, and all these little gaps that we left, they are all money saving techniques. Just think of the amount of bricks you've saved in doing that, whilst creating this really dynamic, interesting pattern.
Our minifigures are loading up for their journey. If you want to be part of the crew too, make sure to click like and subscribe. Every one we get will help increase our crew for the voyage.
And anywhere that you see just a little area where you can't put a plate, just add some more of that brown in there. Just so you can create an area to clip onto for your olives. You just want to put a couple of lush green bits down. Let's have a look at how that can go. Just a little bit of dark green, just for a bit of variation. Just dig out your greens there, basically. You can use light green as well. So let's start putting down just some of these, just to represent patches where there was good growth in there. For this bit, take some of our olive plates. Let's just get them back down on there. If you want to add a little bit of this brown, don't be afraid to, this rich soil. If you want to go ahead and just put a wee bit in there, don't be afraid to do that. This is your build. Okay, so now we're just going to start layering up that olive again.
There's rumours that another ship is setting sail from another location, bearing the flag colours of Ninjago. Are they friends or are they enemies? We'll have to see.
Do you think this is starting to come together? Let me know in the comments. Ferns tend to grow in little tufts. We all know them. You see them rustling when you're out for a walk or something like that. Now I want to think about how this blends in here, and for this I'm going to use some slopes. Lots of different colors, grays, light bluish grays, all that. And I want to just start layering some of them in here. So what I'm going to do is take these small snot pieces, and these are only 2/3, so they're 2 plates thick. And the reason I'm going to use them is, yes, they came from the Pick a Brick wall, and therefore they are available in bulk. I've put one snot piece here on the side, clicked on my brick, and on the other side I've left this stud sitting round, allows us to attach another one, but you'll see it extends a little bit, and that extension allows this to just sit above the stud without us having to tile it off.
Harumi Bay was formed by volcanic activity with a huge eruption that sometimes causes earthquakes. This has caused the rugged landscape to form and is one of the many reasons, as well as the rough seas we created last time, that minifigs in this world have stayed away. But fear not, for now they are ambitious and they're on their way.
Just to show there's a little bit of life, we're going to put some little sticks around. So maybe some shoots of green grass here to symbolize that we're heading towards a little bit of life. Maybe some leaves then start to creep in. I'm just going to take a little 1x1 barrel here. I'm going to put it right there, I reckon. And we'll just use a minifigure hair piece. Set it down on top. I'll put a little egg, I reckon, is hidden in there. What do you think is in that egg? Maybe a dragon egg? That would be cool, wouldn't it? Or maybe just a little common bird. Let me know in the comments what you think it is in this egg. Now we just want to brighten it up a little bit with some 1x1 plate. If you have a look at your forest scene, there's lots of green, quite bright grass. And if you've got leaf pieces that are lime green, go ahead, this is your chance to use them. We don't want to cover all the olive, we just want to add a little bit of color every now and again. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to put some vines on this eventually, but for now, we just want to try and bridge this area up. Now, we want to try and build down into this area. We'll just give it a little bit of brown down in here because it's going to be full of rich soil. So put this there. I'm just going to layer some brown plate down there. We've all seen that forest floor. The bit you generally fall in the scary movies. And then I'm going to use our readily available 1x2 slightly lighter color to just fill that in a little bit there with different soil. Now I want to take some of these green brackets, any color bracket, doesn't really matter because you can hide them. I just want to put them in a place that allows me to put a plate across like this. So I'm just going to do exactly what I did over here up to this point. There's something in here that I want to put.
The crew list is growing, and on there already we see a blacksmith, stonemason, and farmers, just to name a few. The question is, will they adapt to life in Harumi Bay?
Now I'm going to take my 1x1, they're little round flowers, but you can use 1x1, just dots, just little 1x1 plates like that. The next thing we want to do is we want to make some vines because there's going to be some vines snaking along here. So we're going to take some of our leaf pieces here. They're just going to crawl along the forest floor. Now if you just simply do that, you can see they're quite fragile. So it's best for you to put something in there. That could be either a stem, much like this, or something else. Could be just a pin or a bar. And once you've linked a few together like this, you just want to place some leaves at the end of them. And now you want to take any piece that's got a hole in it. I'm using this little one just because it's handy. And we want to place that, and that's going to be used as the pin piece for our vine. That allows us to just set the vine wherever we wish. Now, I reckon that our vines, initially, they like this high spot up here. This is a great way to add detail without having to put down any more bricks. Now, just to top it off, we'll put a few rocks here. Just a little bit of rocks, just to break up that green. And lastly, just to get your Lego net, fold it in half, because I reckon that in this swampy area, there's probably a little bit of life in there. So we'll just take that, we'll put a little spider on there. Maybe he's got a little friend in there. Oh my goodness. I really hope that our minifigs don't fall into this horrible pit. He's just sitting in here, hiding.
So we have our cheeky little spiders in there, enjoying themselves. We'll scatter a few more around just to help with our signs of life around that area. Maybe this little guy is heading onto the beach. Perhaps he's going to see the crab. Maybe they're friends. So, that's starting to look like a forest floor to me. What do you think? If you want to build along with us next time, where we're going to be building the bay area and Stillwater Pond, it's going to be needed for our minifigures to have fresh water. You're going to need some trans clear panels, some leaf pieces, some reeds. You're also going to need some earth tone plates like we had today, some earth tone slopes like we had today, and we're going to need some 1x1 trans blue bricks. As well as that, maybe try and see if you can find some long flowing minifigure hair, browns or tans. I'll explain next time. Until then, everyone, remember, play well.